this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. The flood in Texas a few days ago was an act of nature. No human person could have avoided that storm. Here is a map of Texas, and it shows the counties that were affected by the flood: Tom Green County, Kerr County, Kendall County, Burnett County, Williamson County, and Travis County. Now, the most damage was done in Kerr County. The death toll has risen to over 110 people, and 161 remain missing just in Kerr County. So that tells you how big the storm was and how much loss of life there was in the storm. Now, we already know that this was a natural disaster that nobody could have prevented or controlled. But the question is, could some of this loss of life have been prevented? Now, we have in the United States of America the National Weather Service, and it operates all over this country. They are very good at predicting hazardous weather. They can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, exactly how much rain is going to fall. They can't tell you exactly how many inches of snow you're going to get, or exactly where a tornado is going to touch down, where a hurricane is going to hit, but they can come pretty doggone close. But you need to have the weather service in place in your county, in your city, in order for it to work. It won't work if you don't have that system in place. Now, that's where the problem is here. And this is what the people in Texas are saying.
Kerr County got money from the Obama administration for emergency alert system. Yes, they turned it away, or they kept it because they didn't want to spend Obama money. They also said that they felt like it wasn't necessary because it would only benefit people that work from there, because people in the community knew what to do. So yeah, now there's a lot of dead kids.
So this is just another case where racism costs. In this case, possibly loss of life. She says that President Obama offered them money to get their weather service infrastructure in place. They either wouldn't take the money from President Obama, or they took it. They probably took the money. They said, we don't want his money. That's what they're telling the people. But I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't take that money and do something else with it. What we know is that they didn't put the proper early warning system in place, because this is what they needed. But this is just another case where racism costs.
So Kerr County, where the floods have been in Texas, crazy story. It ends up that they have been asking for money to improve their infrastructure because they knew that they were in a danger zone for floods. They requested the money in 2017 and were denied by the Texas Division of Emergency Management. And then again, their city council voted several different times 4-0 to not accept funds because they came from Joe Biden. And this is all on TikTok and other apps. You can go look it up. There's video of the city council, of people, discussing in the city council meeting. And they're sitting there going, we don't want this communist money. We don't want this communist money. That's what they're saying. And now look at what has happened. Because, there is no because. It's just survival of the fittest, right? If your Republican-led city makes horrible decisions that leads to loss of life, don't vote Republican. That's the only conclusion we can come to.
So here we go again. The people in those counties knew that they were at risk for severe flooding, and they asked the state for the early warning system, and they were turned down. Now, the federal government oversees all of these systems. So apparently the Biden administration saw the need for them to have money to improve their infrastructure for early warning systems and offered them the money, but they turned it down. So here again, racism cost lives. I'm going to say that in this case, the racism cost the lives because they may not have been able to save everybody in this flooding, but they could have saved some of those people if those people had gotten the warning to evacuate early enough. Now, just think about this. We know that there was a summer camp not far from this Mystic camp where black kids camped. Now, we know that if that camp had flooded and those black children had died, we would have heard little to nothing about it. But as nature would have it, the camp with the rich white girls flooded and there was loss of life there. And because of that, there is a moment of reckoning and questions have to be answered. Why didn't they have an early warning system in place? Now, blame is being imposed and people want answers. Why didn't they have an early warning system in place? Why weren't those people given the warning to evacuate? Even though the water was rushing and they say it came faster than they'd ever seen it before, still, there should have been an early warning system because the Weather Bureau already knows if there's going to be flooding. They don't know exactly how much flooding is going to be, but they know that it's going to be flooding. Those people should have been given warning. If they had had an early warning system in place, it's quite possible that those people would have been able to evacuate. And with 161 people still missing, how many of those people do you think will be found alive? Probably not many. So, who is to blame? Is anyone to blame? This is what the governor of Texas had to say.
Who is to blame here, Governor? You ask, I'm going to use your words. Who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas. And that is, Texas, every square inch of our state cares about football. You could be in Hunt, Texas, Huntsville, Texas, Houston, Texas, any size community, they care about football. Every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The championship teams are the ones that say, don't worry about it, man, we got this. We're going to make sure that we go score again, that we're going to win this game. The way winners talk is not to point fingers. They talk about solutions. What Texas is all about is solutions.
Yes, he's absolutely right. Winners talk about solutions. And the solution in this case would have been to have a proper weather warning system in place so they would have alerted those people that this storm is coming, it's going to be flooding, you need to evacuate. That's what a winner would have done. And yes, it is absolutely fair to point fingers at who's to blame for this loss of life in this awful flood because some of this could have been prevented if their racism hadn't got in the way and they had decided that, oh, we wouldn't know what to do in Texas. We don't need any help from those communists. We don't need any help from those Democrats. Racism and arrogance is the problem here. And if those people in Texas can't figure that out, then they're not very smart people, and the same thing will happen to them again. I'll leave it to a black citizen of Texas to have the last word.
By now, I'm sure most of you have heard the audio going around of Kerr County residents during a town hall meeting refusing the funds that the Biden administration provided to them to strengthen the infrastructure for early warning systems and things of that nature. They're all saying how they don't want this money and the reasons why, right? But what the audio leaves out is that they actually kept the money and did not use it for what it was for. The sheriff's office spent roughly $7 million by giving themselves raises, creating new positions, and buying new equipment. So the money, in fact, was used by Kerr County, but not for its intended purpose. Yet again, they managed to blame the wrong people. Blame the sheriff's office. Because had that money been utilized the way that it was supposed to have been utilized, more than 100 lives likely wouldn't have been lost.
And there you have it. Have a good evening, everybody.